Sessions. My name is Ebony Harris.
And I'm Eliza Bokeen, and we are two brown chicks changing the face of therapy on both sides
of
of the
the
couch.
couch. Thank you for joining us for another week of Between Sessions. We appreciate you coming back as you always do. This week we are going to be chatting about things we wish we had learned earlier in life. Also, I was about to say, we have been kind of like missing a couple weeks. Last week was my birthday. Next week is Elisa's birthday. And so we just want to make sure we do acknowledge that. But we're going to chat a little bit about, at the end, a little bit about what's going on and what to expect in the future. So, but thank y'all for joining us, of course. So today we are going to be just sharing some lessons that we wish we had growing up, or I wasn't thinking necessarily growing up, but I guess both growing up and as an adult. Like earlier years of adulthood, earlier years of career, like especially with both of us being entrepreneurs, like it's a lot of things we're gonna limit it because it's a lot of things that I wish. But anyways, you have anything to add before we start doing our list?
No, just that yes, this is advice that we would have got a long time ago, would have been reinforced, highly encouraged, so we could ignore it back then.
It needs to be reinforced over and over and over again. We recognize that, like, some things you have to like hear several times. Somebody can't tell you one time and they're just gonna stick. Like, and it's interesting. I always think about that because there are certain things that I remember someone specifically saying, and it was like, that was impactful. But I wonder why everything doesn't feel like that. You know, like there are certain phrases or certain like things somebody will say, like, don't forget to do X, Y, Z. And for whatever reason, that'll stick with me 30 years later. But other stuff, somebody's like, I told you this 5 times. And it's like, I don't remember that at all. So
I really think it's because of like where you're at the time and something that you may, and I'm thinking about being in therapy myself and maybe some feedback I would have received from therapists before. And it's like, I know it. And then that therapist says it at that point, and it's like, oh, I get it. All right. It's sunk in. And I think for me, this advice that I would have, when I was thinking about this topic and when I was thinking of what I would have wanted to hear earlier on, I think I would have wanted this advice from my parents. And the reason I think about advice from my parents is because that would have meant they were giving me permission, right? Like, you have permission in this way. And maybe that's part of it. Maybe that's part of advice that really resonates with us is we really understand we have permission to go ahead and do this. Or in that moment, it gives us permission to free up something within ourselves to be able to follow that advice.
Right. Yeah, I love that. I like that. So you want to start first with one of yours and we'll go from there?
Yeah, I think one of the things that I would have really wanted to hear early on was that it is okay to disappoint other people. And as I reflect back now on my life and I reflect on a lot of the points in my life where I feel blocked or I feel stuck, it's because I'm taking into consideration everybody that might be disappointed with my choice, with my decision. And so I wish I would have had my parents early on tell me, it's okay, you're going to disappoint others. You may even disappoint us. We're still going to love you. But, parents have their tactics to keep you in line. And that wasn't the message I was getting. The message I was getting is like, this is what you need to do to not disappoint us, disappoint others, not to look a certain way. And I've mentioned before, this is just part of my parents, what they felt was best for me and trying to protect me and all of that good stuff. But I wish I would have heard that. I think that would have freed me up in so many ways. I think it would have freed me up to be okay with making mistakes. It would have freed me up to failing, like to failing at things. And I know that for me, holding back from looking like a failure or labeling something as a failure and disappointing somebody has really restricted me in so many ways. As I've gotten older and I understand some of these limitations and what I can do to change it, now I'm more aware and I'm less restrictive, but it's still an ongoing effort. Like, I still have to make an effort not to restrict myself when I realize this is the fear that I'm just going to disappoint, whether it's my kids, whether it's a friend, it's a loved one. I mean, there's so much that goes into play with it.
Yeah, I like that because I think that's extremely important, even when thinking about um, just in any type of relationship that you have with people, understanding that you probably are going to disappoint or you're probably even going to hurt people when that's not your intention at all. And I think sometimes when we think of those things, it feels like that person, they knew what they were doing when they hurt me or they disappointed me. And that's not the
Mm,
case. And so
mhm,
for you to kind of accept that as like, this is just life as humans, as we're going through and interacting with other people, there are going to be times when you're not able to live up to whatever their expectations are, or even to your own expectations, right?
mhm,
And that's okay. Like you're working
mhm.
hard to be the best version of you every day, and that's all you can truly do. And so if you
Right.
disappoint, take accountability and all of that, but that doesn't mean that makes there's something wrong with you. But I think oftentimes
Yeah.
we look at it as something that we can control every aspect of, and and then we kind of burn ourselves out or push ourselves so far because we're trying to make sure we don't. And it's like, well, it's okay to disappoint people. Like, it's okay if people are frustrated with you and things like that, and that can happen because of a specific decision you made, or it can happen because you didn't even realize something was going on that was there. So definitely, I like that it's okay
Yeah.
to disappoint people. Okay.
I think
um
that the
Go
part
ahead.
of expectations yeah, I think the part of expectations, the expectations we place on ourselves, the expectations that others place on us, I think that could be a whole podcast in and of itself. Like, what happens when you have these really rigid expectations, and leads to perfectionism, which often freezes us from really doing anything outside of our comfort zone. So I think expectations, that could be a whole podcast in and of itself.
That is true. I'm about to write that down, but that is
Yeah.
as we were trying to think about that. I think that's true because it goes in all different areas. And what does it mean for you
Mhm.
not to meet the expectations of others? And how do you internalize
Mhm.
that? And yeah, you're right. That
Mhm.
is. Um, I would say one thing that I wish I learned earlier was that everything doesn't have to be hard. I feel like there is a
Yeah.
lot of communication, whether it's clear or covert or overt, whatever, about just life being hard. And especially as people of color, it's kind of like this expectation that you will struggle, that you will have a hard time in all areas, you have to work twice as hard to get half as much, like all of these things that are lessons that we've learned. And I disagree. Do I think there's definitely, we go through a lot. Now that is true. Like, I'm not trying to negate that at all. But I don't think that relationships have to be hard. I don't think work has to be hard. I just don't think life in general has to be hard. And I think sometimes when we have that mindset, we sometimes make things harder than they need to be, number one. But two, it becomes, I'm just going to accept whatever I get because that's all I know that it's supposed to be. Like, I don't think I'm supposed to have a life that's of ease or luxury or just relaxation and all, because it feels like you're not doing enough. You need to be working harder. You need to be doing a lot. And I don't think it comes from a bad place. Again, as we always talk about, the people ahead of us that are teaching us and giving us these lessons only can give us so much, only can give us what they know. And that's fine. But I do feel like there is a level of when we talk about like money doesn't grow on trees. You have to work hard for your money. And then as you get older, and especially if you start learning about like money mindset and just what the wealthy people do and all the kind of stuff, it's like, do they work hard or do they do things that they enjoy and be able to focus their energy on that? Or do they have a few hours of like focus and things like that, but it's not necessarily that they're like out here, the CEOs aren't the ones that are out here working extremely hard to make their paycheck with manual labor or anything like that. They might work hard in different ways. But I feel like we can all find some balance of, yes, there are times when things can be intense. Yes, there are times when you do have to put a lot of effort in, but there also can be a lot of times when you're kind of like, I enjoy this, so it doesn't feel like hard work. Now, I don't believe, I'm not one of those people that think like, if you do what you love every day, you'll never go to work. That's not true for me. I don't know about anybody else. I absolutely love what I do. That does not mean I'm not working. And I think sometimes what happens is that becomes like this false belief of like, I must not be in my passion because it still feels like work. And it's like, no, that's not necessarily true. Some things come easily to you, and it can still be a job that you enjoy or whatever the case may be. But that doesn't mean it's not work. I just don't think it has to be hard, laborious work. And especially talking about relationships, again, relationship therapist. So I'm gonna go straight to like when things are like we
Right.
have to like continuously fight and we're continuously pushing and well, relationships are hard. You got to work hard. Are they though? Do they have to be that hard? So that's one thing I wish that there was more conversation about going with the ease. I keep thinking flow and ease, of course, but going with the
Mhm.
ease of like uh just life and like and I know I've talked about this on this podcast before. That's something that's like pretty new to me in the last like 2 years of just kind of being like, I'm tired and I don't want to. And so I'm just gonna relax. And then seeing things happen, and it's like, wait,
Right.
so all the time I was like doing 40 million things that, I mean, obviously I may have been setting the foundation, but it wasn't necessary.
Right. I think what you're talking about is being in alignment. When you're in alignment, you're not pushing against, you're not resisting, you're not forcing anything. And I think that the opposite of what we hear because of capitalism, right, is no team, no sleep, and no pain, no gain. And I do think that that is because there is a very small percentage of people who benefit from the masses believing that we have to work our ass off and we have to do it for 40 plus hours a week. And I think that there's also, we're so conditioned to also feel like we've achieved something when we're exhausted. Like, that the glorification of being really, really busy, the glorification of being burnt out, that's some sort of mark of success, of how hard you work, of almost like our worthiness also. Like you're a better
Definitely.
employee because you don't take your vacations or you're here past everybody else. You're rewarded for that. And so I think so much of it is the culture. And then I do believe that as Black and brown people in particular, it wasn't possible for us, for our lives to be lives of leisure, because what is expected of us, or what has been historically expected of us in order to survive, has been to be the people who were doing the really hard laborious work. So I feel like we are in this particular privileged point on some levels that we can actually see that actually I have some different options, but we have to do some of the unlearning and the unconditioning of what, like you said, our elders and our ancestors, that wasn't possible for them. And so therefore it's difficult to even conceive that
Right.
that you might have money flowing in abundantly. You might have a relationship where you get your needs met. Like you might be able to not work so hard all week and still be okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I do believe that that part with the relationships having to be hard work. Again, I do think that that's rooted in patriarchy. It's rooted in this messaging, particular for women. You know,
Mm-hmm.
you're, I know we weren't going to talk about it.
No, go ahead. I know that's exactly where my mind went to as I was talking, so I know. Go ahead.
I'm sure you all have heard about the Derek Jackson ordeal and all that. And we're not going to go deep into it because I feel like everybody's talked about it anyways. But there, I think you can really quickly pull to see these messages that we've received from the church, from elders, from men, where it's designed to keep you thinking that because you're working really, really hard and you have not given up, you haven't given up on this relationship that is killing your spirit, that is sucking the life out of you, that et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, that makes you a high value. You're a high value woman. You're committed. Oh, I commend you for working so hard. And this is not just specific to the Derek Jackson case, because again, that's on them, whatever. I don't know those people. But I know that I've seen this in day-to-day life and have people that I know who've gone through this, messages that I've received, from people that I know where it's the same messaging. Well, nothing is easy. and life is hard and life has challenges. Relationships require effort and intention, and you will have your set of challenges because as individuals we're going to have challenges, and therefore as couples who are blending their lives together, that's difficult. But when it's chronic, and I think that's what we're speaking to, it's like it's chronically hard, it's chronically difficult,
Exactly.
that's not balance. And I talk to my clients all the time about anytime that there is not balance, that's where there's not wellness. So I agree. I agree. I think we are too conditioned to really celebrate what is really rooted in a lack of balance. And that balance is often where it's unbalanced is in our well-being, in caring for ourselves, in preserving our sanity, in preserving our health. And so I do think that it takes a lot of effort to unlearn that.
Right. Yeah, I agree. I definitely agree with that. Um, it's important to try to recognize where that comes from, and is that serving you? Is that, or is it causing you more harm? And a lot of times when we believe that things have to just be constant, like life is just supposed to be hard, then
Right.
you start to see hardness all around you, difficulties and
Yeah.
all of that. And so if we can work on shifting that belief of like, it doesn't, there will be difficult times, but that doesn't mean it has to be always difficult. um
Yeah.
my next point kind of goes into that. You want me to, can I just go with that and then you can do the next one after that? Is that cool?
Yeah. Go for
Okay,
it.
okay. So my
Mhm.
next one
Yeah.
is basically focusing on staying present and enjoying the moment you're in right now. Right. So that kind of goes into that, like, will we have difficult moments? Definitely. Will there be times when it's like, oh, this sucks and whatever, whether that's you're just having a hard time with somebody you care about, or grief, or just today, just I was just not in a good mood. Those things are definitely going to happen. But oftentimes the other moments where things are going well, or what happened?
Nothing
Oh, you were laughing. I didn't know
for me.
something happened.
Oh, because there's like a delay between you and me.
Oh,
And so
okay.
I was laughing when you said I was in a bad mood.
Oh, okay, got it. Um, so yeah, so it could be the most random things, and so it's not necessarily that you know it, there's no expectation that everything is going to be great all the time, right? That's not what we mean at all by even the difficulties.
Right.
But I think that we have to. I wish someone had taught me to, when you are in good spaces, when you do have good things happen around you, stay present in that moment. Enjoy those moments, because oftentimes we are so like, this is oh, I wish I knew the quote, but it's basically, this is water, this is just life, this is just what it is, that we're not able to really enjoy and accept all the good things. And so when the bad things happen, sometimes it does feel like, oh, this just is so horrible. But and then I think that that works
Yeah.
with, if you have anxiety or depression, like sometimes it's hard to really like sit and focus on what's happening right now in this moment. I am safe. I'm around people I love. I'm enjoying this. Like it can be hard to do that. And so oftentimes when you feel yourself either overthinking, or if you feel yourself kind of getting stuck in like a feeling or a thought, like how do you bring yourself back to the present moment of what's happening right now, especially when we're talking about things that you can't control, right? Or things that you can't do anything about in that moment. So I just think it's really important to take the time to, how do I stay mindful of this moment that I'm in right now? And how do I take this with me to, because the more that you do that, when those things happen that kind of struggle with that you might be struggling with, and when you're having those days that just aren't going that well, it won't feel like life is just blah and bad. Right? When you're really able to stay present and enjoy
Mhm.
those positive
Right.
moments, then it feels like, man, this kind of sucks, but like yesterday was fun. Like, I had a good time yesterday. I had a good day yesterday.
Mhm,
So,
mhm.
so I think that's just extremely important to figure out, like, it, it won't always be good, but when it is good, like truly be present in the moments of the good, or the chill, or the relaxing, or whatever, like just
Right.
being in those moments.
I agree. I think one thing that if you're listening, you're listening to this, to remember that some of these concepts, they're really simple concepts, but sometimes it's really difficult to implement.
Hmm.
And I think that earlier, if we would have got this messaging earlier, then it would have given us more time to practice it, because it is something that it takes time to develop. And even what you said, a few years ago, I started to notice, wait a second, I need to do this. And it's taken you some time. Like I've seen your progression like over it where it was like go, 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 go. I'm like, you are doing too much.
Yep.
So it does take time to implement. It takes time to see results. It takes time to really fully embody this knowing so that you're not feeling like you're resisting even when you're doing it. So remember
Yeah.
that as you're
I
listening.
like that.
These concepts sound really simple and they're not always easy to implement. And it's going to take some time to see some of the results, right?
Yes.
So
Yes.
what I would say, my other piece of advice that I really wish I would have heard early on is that you don't have to do anything to be worthy of love, to be
Mm,
worthy of anything. And I don't think that I ever got the message specifically of you're not worthy of love unless you do. Like nobody sat down and said, if you want to be worthy of love, you need to do these things. But that's what happens so often is we get indirect message or covert messages. And what I understood is you have to do a lot to for those you love and to be loved
mhm.
and for others to see that you are loving them. And I think that's taken a long time also to unlearn the idea that you come into this world worthy, worthy of love, worthy of mutual relationships, worthy of respect, all of the stuff that I think so often we're like, if I lose weight, if I get the job, if I get the tummy tuck, like whatever it is, how can I adjust myself? And when I adjust myself, maybe then I will get the type of love that I deserve. Maybe then I'll have the type of relationship that I deserve.
Deserve.
Maybe when I dress this certain way, I'll have the recognition that I deserve. And all of that is conditional. And I think the more that we believe that our worth
Mhm.
and that our value is contingent upon something that is conditional or temporary or that will change, that's where we get into trouble. And that's really difficult because you're not just getting that, maybe that messaging from your caretakers. It's everywhere.
Right,
It
right.
is everywhere. You can't scroll a news feed, turn on a movie, watch a you cannot even get out your house and not see a billboard where you're getting the message, you'll be better once you do this thing, once you take this thing, once you go.
Yep,
It's
yep,
everywhere.
yep.
So it takes required intention, attention, and effort to resist that and to remind ourselves, nope, just as I am worthy of all of these things that everybody really is worthy of. I always tell my clients when we talk about worth and maybe they're struggling with self esteem or what have you, is when we come into this world, we know that we are worthy of our needs being met, all of our needs. And spend time with any infant, and you will know if you're not gonna meet my needs, you're gonna hear me cry about it, right? Like feed me, hold me, love me,
Right,
spoil
right.
me.
I expect it
Like
regardless.
it's I'm demanding this,
Mhm.
right? And even toddlers, like little kids, you'll see them and they're like, I want this, I want that. And it's not until we begin to get the messages because our needs are not being met or whatever conditioning that we get from our family of origins that we start to question that. Like,
Mhm.
oh, I have to get really good grades, or I have to be the good girl, or I have to be the responsible one, et cetera, et cetera. So I just wish somebody would tell me back then, you don't have to do anything to be
Yeah,
worthy of
yeah.
those two things alone. I'd be a different person.
That is, I think that's amazing. And I definitely think that is a huge one that everyone should be implementing and practicing and trying to like incorporate because it's so much if this happens, when I do this. And I love that, like you're saying, it's not even like it's worthy of love, but it's worthy of anything that you want in life. It doesn't have to wait on you to be,
Right.
maybe if you want the career, okay, once I get my degree or whatever, maybe. But like other than that, like you can
Right.
truly probably pursue anything that you're interested in, whether that's love, career, family, whatever. You can pursue all of that without it being like, I need to change this particular thing. And so it doesn't have
And
to
even
be,
rest, like you were talking about earlier.
yes, right. It
You
doesn't,
know, I'm worthy of rest.
I'm
I'm
worthy of
worthy
taking
of
a
taking
break.
a break.
Yes. And then that's the one we're going to kind of close on, which is I wish people would have told me it's okay to take a break whenever you need one. Like, and to really be present and aware of when you
Mhm.
need a break. Because I think oftentimes what happens is we do go, 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 go. And then we end up, our body ends up telling us we need a break, not us deciding.
Mhm.
Now you're sick. Or now you're so
Mhm.
exhausted, you know, you made a mistake and something's happened, right? Now, so being
Mhm.
aware of when I'm in a mood to work really hard and all that kind of stuff and do that. But also taking time to say like, okay, today is not the day, or I need to get some stuff together, or whatever the case may be. Like really being okay with the fact that like breaks are necessary. This is why we get holidays at work, right? This is why, you know, we get to kind of go on
Mhm.
vacation and reset, or why we have weekends. Like that these are the reasons why these things are built in, because there is an expectation that like if you continue to just go, 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 you are going to burn out. And so we definitely wanted to end on that part because we are going to be taking a break. uh, because and if you notice, like the kind of inconsistency with the weekly schedule, like podcast, is because of that. Because it was like, okay, maybe it's time. Like we've been trying to like go do weekly. Of course, we, as most of you that listen know, we just relaunched the website. And so there's a lot that's going on behind the scenes as far as that. And it's like, and the podcast is amazing and we love it, but we need to take a break so we can kind of refocus and be able to come back better than ever and kind of have like a strategy that works, that so that
Mhm.
you are continuing to get the content that you enjoy and you're continuing to get the conversations that you want to hear.
And, you know, we got Melanin Mental Health, we have our private
Podcast.
practices,
Yep.
we have other podcasts on the side. So it's and then we have personal lives.
Try.
Like we have lives outside.
We try.
But I do think you know, we gotta practice what we preach and being able to have more balance. And I love it. I love doing this. I feel like a lot of the times these conversations are for us.
Definitely.
Yeah, but
Definitely.
we're not gonna be gone. We're just taking a little break. We'll be back. So you know you
And it's
can
more
stay
of,
in touch with us.
right, it'll
Mhm.
just look different, right? So
Right, right,
we'll probably be seen in a lot of other spaces. And so
right.
if you're still subscribed to the podcast, you'll get some of that. If we happen to do an IG live, like last week, I posted the IG live that we did, and so you got to hear the audio for that. Or if you're on YouTube, you got to see the video for that, just in case you missed it while we were on IG. We have speaking engagements coming up, and so if we can have access to some of those, they may be, you know, posted places and things like that. So there'll still be content. It's not like we're just like, you will hear nothing from us.
Right.
But it just may look a little different.
And
So we want
lunch.
to make sure. Yeah, right. We just want to make sure that you guys knew that if you don't
Speaking
hear from,
of
go ahead.
yeah, this lag between you
Yeah,
and
it
I,
sucks.
it's making me batty. But what I was gonna say, speaking of speaking engagements, this Wednesday, we will be panelists on an exciting event that is being hosted by Health Magazine. If you go to our Instagram, our individual ones and our Melanin Mental Health Instagram. The link is in the bio to register for this free event. We're going to be talking about mental health. We're super excited. We are partnering up with Health Magazine and going to be giving you tips on mental wellness, et cetera, et cetera. And so make sure that you go and you register and you check us out over there. Cheer us
Yes.
on. Send us messages in the during the
Please.
call. Yeah, it's going to be an interactive event. So make
This
sure you're there.
month is self care month for them, and so this is the magazine that I
Yes.
was featured in. I mean, me
Drum
as a part of
roll.
Melanin and Mental Health. So it is the March issue of Health Magazine, and um, it is the article that's all about self care And Melanin and Mental Health got featured. I was giving quotes, and of course, co-founder of Melanin and Mental Health. So if you haven't, check out that. The Real Meaning of Self Care is the name of the article. It's the magazine with Rosario Dawson on it. So if you've seen that, check it out. But definitely, that was completely like random too. Like it was like that happened way back in November, and then Health Magazine just happened to reach out to us and ask to speak on this panel for self care, and I was like, wait, these things they're happening at the same time. So we're really excited. So please come check us out, and support us, and we'll be looking for y'all in the comments. Let us know if you are part of the Melanin and Mental Health Between Sessions crew. I don't know. I don't know why all of a sudden I decided we should have a nickname for people, but never mind. That just popped in my head. But yeah, let us know that you're there.
I was calling fam.
Okay, there we
Hey,
go.
Melanin Mental Health
Put your yellow and black hearts in the chat if you are there. If you do make it, put your yellow and black hearts there. We'll be looking for y'all. So we're really excited about that and other opportunities that are presenting themselves. So we'll make sure to keep y'all informed of those as well. So thank you, of course, for joining. We appreciate it. Make sure you follow us across social media at Melanin and Mental Health, Melanin Health on Twitter. Subscribe, rate, comment. We will be back with new content soon after our break. And follow us, and make sure that you share. And if you're looking for a therapist of color, go to melaninmentalhealth.com. If you're looking for dope merchandise, go to melaninmentalhealth.com. If you're looking for previous podcasts, go to melaninmentalhealth.com. All right. And also, if you are a dope therapist, sign up for the directory. We are getting so many requests. So many people are visiting the site looking for people, and we need more therapists on our directory.
That's right. All right, folks. Stay in touch with us. We'll be back.
Bye.